This is our 55th independent review of a new condo construction in South Florida. So we've done a lot, we know a lot, and we're going to be referencing a lot of the previous projects as we go through this brand new Faena. I'm here with Claudine Letts, and we're going to talk about this new project, which is in downtown, the Faena. We just did a deal yesterday. Just yesterday we sold a unit, and I'll be honest with you, I was just a little bit skeptical about doing this video originally because I've kind of become a little bit tired of the branding that I've seen around Miami. And if you know anything about me, you've seen my How to Lose $1 Million in Real Estate in the condo market, that we put that out in the market maybe about a week ago. Lots of views on that. Really appreciate the views. Keep them coming. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. That video, we talk about one of the biggest issues that we have in the Miami market, which is we have all these brands, all these companies, all these names. How do we separate them? How do we identify the good from the bad? This is Faena. And if you're from Miami, I'm sure you know Faena. I'm sure you're familiar with the Faena Hotel on Miami Beach. You may be familiar with Faena as a brand, Alan Faena, and the Faena district in Buenos Aires. This is a huge force in, I guess, the hospitality business. But it's not the Four Seasons, it's not a Ritz, it's not a St. Regis. It's a far more, what feels like a more boutique group.
Yes.
Less dense. Is that about right, Claudia?
Yes, it's much more private and exclusive. And then we have the art and culture component in this building, which no one else has. This building will be infused with art and culture. We're going to have events in our private members club. All the residents will be invited to be members of the club as part of their association fee. We have 4 full floors of amenities, which is huge. It allows for over 100,000 square feet of these amenities.
So this is a lot of building. I mean, let's face it, one of the things that we always come to is that's a lot to undertake. There's 440 units being built across 2 towers with a skybridge that connects them. And the question that everyone has is, can you actually deliver this? Not being harsh, but a lot of buildings get announced, they're due to come up, and then they don't get delivered. And the question that I always have is, what's the pedigree? Because yes, this is all very impressive. What's interesting is it comes down to the involvement of the developer. The backstory with Faena. Alan Faena, I think it's fair to say, what he's done is he's created these ecosystems.
Yes.
He did it in Buenos Aires. He's done it on Miami Beach with the Faena district. He hasn't built a building in isolation. He's really focused on building an ecosystem. And that's really important because when you look at the biggest mistakes, the $1 million mistakes that we see, one of the problems that we encounter is building the wrong building or the right building in the wrong location. What do we mean by that? These buildings which are beautifully designed, great floor plans, great finishes, but the environment around doesn't match the demographic that they're trying to chase and sell to within the building. So, for example, if you go in, and I won't spoil it for you, but in our video we talk about some of those buildings which haven't performed as well. What we're interested to look at with this is what's actually being built around the project. So let's go into, like, what are they doing around the Faena?
So, first of all, they're going to improve the boardwalk. They're also going to put a lot of lush landscaping and water features around it. And I do want to point out that Faena is located in a 14-acre gated community. Within that community, there is another 2 lots that are right now have not been built on.
So that's 14 acres for one project. And there's obviously going to be this main 2 towers, but then there's 2 more lots. And there's infrastructure going into that. And I heard mentioned, so a little birdie told me, that there's like 20 padel courts that are being built. Is that right?
Yes, we're going to have a padel court and we're going to have one inside the building as well.
Zoom in, because I want to show you before we get into the units what I was really amazed by. What you've got here, and again, this is just kind of like the common areas for the pool before you get into the sky area lofts. How big is this pool here?
It's actually 25 meters. It's a semi-Olympic.
But what's you got around here? You've got gym here that looks like it's one of your associates, Harvey was telling me, to rival an Equinox. You've got classes over here. You've got treatment rooms. There's a health and wellness aspect to it.
Yes.
What got me is what I've always remembered and thought about when I go to the Faena Hotel on Miami Beach is this Faena feeling when you go in. It's very opulent, it's very rich. This mural on the front of the building kind of says it all. It kind of encapsulates what the Faena brand is about. It's entertaining. It is like engagement. It's
vibrant.
It's vibrant. It is. It's very like, it's not subtle. But what it does is it delivers an experience. And part of the challenge that we have is when brands get involved and the brand doesn't deliver an experience, because part of the brand sale is, oh, you're getting a level of quality, you're getting an experience. It's everything that brand stands for. And then in the end, the name comes off the building and it just simply doesn't matter anymore. It's more than just a lot of red and white being used to stamp this as a Faena project. If it was just that, then I would legitimately have a real problem with it. And I would say, okay, guys, and you probably wouldn't find me doing a review, honestly, because I don't review all the buildings I don't like. As everyone said to me, why is it that you don't review this building over here? And it's probably because you don't like it. And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's because I don't, and I don't want to have to say anything nasty. But suffice it to say, I'm interviewing and viewing this because I do like it. And there's an incredible bar over here, and I know on the skyloft, there's a lot, but I'm sure you're dying to know. Tell us, David, a little bit about the units and what I'm going to pay. Because you can get a lot of experience and awareness of the project through the developer website. But what you will want is you want to know how to stack it up against the competition. How do we weigh this building on a scale against the other buildings in the market? Because some I really feel are going to miss the mark, and others provide legitimate competition to Faena. The question is, how are they weighted on price? So let's go into it. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I like the new Faena project in downtown Miami. Number 1, it's located on the river. Location, 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 but in this case, location with views. The nice thing here is that you actually have some distance because of the river between you and surrounding buildings, which will give you more travel with the eye and better views that are protected in perpetuity because you can't build on the water. Number 2, the environment around you. So Faena is very famous for building these little ecosystems around the buildings. And in this case, they're going to do that with a 14-acre site, which is only rivaled by buildings like the Four Seasons in Surfside. You've got an incredible amount of facilities, amenities, and life around you, all for this particular demographic, for people within this project. So there's a lot of space, and you're right on the doorstep of Brickell. So as you cross the bridge into Brickell City Centre, it's going to take you just a few minutes, and that is worth its weight in gold. Number 3, the Faena name. The involvement with the developer is significant. Alan Faena is very, very hands-on. And that brings me to point number 4. The team you align with the project is so important. And in this case, they've aligned themselves with Coastal Construction. I know the Coastal boys. These guys, I've had them on my podcast. They are masters at building, and they're one of only 2 groups, I believe, in Miami who can pull off a really, really good quality build. Because who you get into bed with matters. And finally, point number 5. All of this doesn't matter unless your floor plans make sense. And here we have some stunning floor plans. You want to know what those floor plans look like? Watch the full video. We're going to go through our 3 favorite units, and we're going to use the model to actually illustrate where the units are in the building. We're going to show you the views, and we're going to get into the dollar per square foot, and then we're going to rank it against the other buildings in the market. Okay, so let's start off with our first favorite unit in this project, 3302.
The 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, located around this height right here and this corner. So this corner has the best views. Like you can see on the bottom, you're looking straight south, where you have the river, and also east. Into the mouth.
Super important. So at the 33rd floor, we're going to get to see some of the water. We're going to get to see the sunrise, and at night, and this is where, honestly, part of the experience of a condo, and I've said this before, I love ocean views. But if you can't see some city lights, it's not as exciting, it's not as engaging. And this is why, and then let's face it, Miami has a beautiful skyline. In the early morning and at night, that's when you're going to see the city of Miami, and you are right in the heart of it. But you're able to take advantage of that position where you get to see it. So up on the 33rd floor, this unit is, how many square feet are we talking about here?
We're talking about 2,225 square feet.
So 2,225 square feet with 822 square feet of terrace, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. And when we look at this unit, and again, we like these kind of corner angles because part of the experience of luxury is in fact the amount of glass you have in front of you. We've done this test when we did the well in Coconut Grove and a number of buildings, and we call it that peripheral, the eye's peripheral view outside to your unit. If you're in a very big unit, but you have blinkers on, you have a very narrow channel of view, it doesn't give that sense of wow, that luxury. What you want is to walk in and go, wow, I'm just seeing the city in front of you. You've got 36 feet across the front here for the living room. The master bedroom's at the back. It's a 12.5 by nearly 15 feet. That's a really generous size. Looking at the floor plan for a second, because again, everything stops and starts with the floor plan. One of the biggest issues I have with some of the buildings that have failed this year in 2025, and again, article coming out now in the general press that cites our report, the David Siddons group is constantly referenced in the press because we're doing the research. And it cites the worst performing buildings in Miami. And one of the common elements that we have with these bad performing buildings is that most of the time their floor plans simply don't work. And what do we mean by it doesn't work? Well, if you design your unit for renters, you will live and die by the rental market. If you design your unit for end users, then you create a different type of economy, far more robust, far more protected and insulated against negative economic change. And in order to have a unit that feels primary, you've got to have a primary existing environment. What does that mean? Big closet. So a big closet that looks to be around, I don't know, 10 by 10 even if you were to square it out. A master bedroom that's 12.5 by nearly 15. You've got an enormous living room that's 35 by about 26.5 feet. These dimensions matter. And so, you know, unlike some of the 3-bedroom units that I've seen in other buildings, which they're squeezing 3 bedrooms into 16 or 1700 square feet, this lives as a primary unit. And that 822 square feet of terrace is very generous, and you're going to use it because you're going to want to sit out there in the evenings and see these incredible views out of the city. Now, all of this doesn't mean anything unless we understand the price. What are we talking about price-wise here, and what's that in $1 per square foot?
We're talking just below 4 million, in the 3.9 range, depending on what height you are.
Okay, so around 2,225 square feet of living, just under $4 million. You're flirting around $1,850 a square foot in that kind of range.
Yes, that's all.
Price point to give you some comparables. When you get, and there's only 2 buildings I really like in Brickell right now, just to be very, very clear. There's 2 buildings that I actually like in the urban core. I like the Mandarin Oriental and the St. Regis, which runs second to that, which is a little bit further down Brickell. But remember, those buildings are running anywhere from about $2,300 to $2,500 a square foot entry level. They're very good buildings, and I've sold a lot at particularly Mandarin. I've sold a few at St. Regis. We've now obviously sold one at Faena, which is very, very new. But in that case, you're bumping yourself up $1 per square foot. And the truth is that the smallest unit that they have, which was the 04 line, is gone. How do I know this? Because I sold it. So there are no more 04 lines left at the Mandarin. So if you want around 2,000 square feet or a little bit bigger and you want to be in a 2-bedroom unit, you're not going to get one at all, not even at $5 million. The next price point you jump up to is in the 6s, and that's very typical for the St. Regis and the Mandarin. So if you have a budget and you are sub $5 million and you want new construction in Brickell, then this is probably the ideal product for you. And although it's downtown, it's right on the cusp. So as far as I'm concerned, it's part of the same system. It's not too much of a problem. That's our first choice. Great unit, good $1 per square foot, makes sense, great views, nice floor plan. Let's go for the second one. What's our number 2 choice? This is our second favorite choice. I don't call it our second favorite choice, but certainly this one actually really got my attention. So now we're going to look at unit 6401 up on the 64th floor. This is a really tall building. This is 6401. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at almost 3,100 square feet, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, and a half bath. And very important, this unit has 14 feet ceilings.
And we're looking at a price point of
$8,250,000.
$8,250,000 on the ask on this one. Okay, so I'm going to give you a reference point to this particular unit, because when we get to units, as we get into this size, things start to change a little bit. And I'm going to use this to compare. What got me here is the ceiling height. 14 feet is bigger than anything you're typically going to see. Even buildings like Park Grove, Grove at Grand Bay and Coconut Grove, those are 12-foot ceilings. This one on the 64th floor. If you're up on 64, and last week it was Sunday, I was at the Four Seasons in Brickell, and I'm going to give you a reference point, and there's a reason why I'm mentioning the Four Seasons, because it's, again, it's a hospitality brand. I was up on the 55th floor, I want to say, looking out over the water, over the city. Beautiful view. This is kind of comparable. There's a unit there on that line, the F line. This, a little over 3,000 square feet with 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, with a total of just under 4,000 square feet, because there's 801 square feet of outdoor space. When you're at a 14-foot ceiling, I was in the Four Seasons and it was impressive. I was looking over this view, I was like, wow, right? But the ceiling wasn't even 10 feet. I think maybe it was a 10-foot ceiling at best. And it was a unit that was, it was a renovated unit. It was nicely done. It was a 4-bedroom. I looked at the E and the F line, which are the 2 front corners of that building. And I was looking at units there that was ranging from one unit that needed a complete gut renovation that was coming in around $5 million. And then I was looking at slightly bigger units that were 4-bedroom units, and they were coming in at $11 and $12 million respectively. Now, they were a little bit bigger, but they didn't have 14-foot ceilings. And the Four Seasons is a 2004 building, I want to say, or 2006. So it's a much older building. It's older by at least 20 years. What you're talking about here is elevating you up to a loft unit up on the 64th floor. That's going to feel staggeringly different. And I really like this unit because, once again, you've got a floor plan that actually works. You've got a good-sized master primary. You've got an incredible living room, 34 across. You've got 3 bedrooms and the master. You've got a proper laundry room. You've got a private entrance. This is a private foyer straight into your unit entrance. And around $8 million, this is also a unit that's going to give you incredible views. You will see the water very, very clearly from this angle, because you're going to be perched over every other building in Brickell. So we're just going to flash up the views so you can get a sense. It is the bird's eye view. This is what I call giving the weather report kind of floor. You are so high up, you can see everything across the city. It is a staggering view. And that would be impressive even in a unit with 10-foot ceilings, but 14-foot ceilings, wow. That's not something you see every day. And we always like the exceptional, because generic product gets crushed and supply-demand economics are the fundamentals. So if you're going to buy something in a very small number of options that can exist. How many total units exist like this in the building?
We have 2 in one tower and 2 in the other tower.
Okay, so there are 4 in the world. 4 in the world. Consider that. Okay, that's option number 2. Let's move to our final and third option. The third one, you know what they say, go big or go home. We're going straight up to the penthouse on this one. And I just had to show it off because it's really Instagrammable, but it's impressive as hell. What you've got here is nearly 8,200 square feet of interior. This is unit 6701, the Penthouse collection, and this is right at the top of the building. Now, up here, you have an incredible over 8,000 square feet of living inside. But what's really wow and really wild to think about is you've got nearly 7,000 square feet of terrace. That is terrace on the main level, and then once you go up to the very top, you can take the elevator or you can take the staircase up. You have a rooftop with an outdoor fitness area, steps down to your terrace, a swimming pool, an outdoor living area, and a private foyer, again, with all the outside furniture. You might want to store it somewhere, so it's not just like a big empty space on top. There's actual space for you to use, whether it's the bathroom upstairs on the roof, a storage room for your gym equipment if you want to have a rooftop workout, or the outside, somewhere to store the outside furniture. It is really impressive. It's good to know that the variables of this building contain lots of very big units. 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. This is not a building where we just see a lot of 1 bedrooms and a few really big units. There's a lot of really big units in this project. If you want to know exactly how many 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and duplex units or anything really, really big, give me a call. It's important to understand the ratio balance of projects or product in the building. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I actually want to thank Claudine for doing this with us. It's been great. If you want to know more, one of the important things to understand is the independent reviews that we do. Yes, we're out there in the middle of the sales office. It's busy. There's people running around. This is really happening around us. Our independent reviews have us reviewing things like the Mandarin, St. Regis in Brickell, the Ritz-Carlton on Miami Beach, the Well in Coconut Grove, projects all the way up to Palm Beach. This building's blending out somewhere around that $1,600, $1,700 a square foot. And I will tell you that if you go to almost any other neighborhood, you're looking to a higher dollar per square foot. So if your budget needs to be under $2,000 a square foot, then this is definitely something that we should consider, we should have a conversation about. It's all about the lifestyle. If the urban core you think might be right for you, let's explore that, let's have a discussion. We'll flash up with this video. We've done a full article, full report, and we'll show the dollar per square foot, how this stacks up against the other buildings. And we also have our website, New Condo Construction, that details all the new projects across South Florida independently. There's videos, there's reviews. And on top of it, one final thing is that we actually have custom contracts that we work with our developers. We have a custom addendum that we bolt in because, hey, at the end of the day, you're taking a leap of faith. You're out there buying a new construction, you've got deposit schedules, and you want to know that this actually happens. And our job is to make sure that it does, and that you feel comfortable and safe. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, see my information below, and look forward to seeing you next time for another David Siddons Group pre-construction video. Thank you. Thank you, Claudine.